Okay, so we'll do a call to order at 6:32 PM. And Janie and I were just doing an informal roll call. It looks like we had some excused absences. Barbara Kraus is traveling. Rashad, is that how you pronounce his first name?
Prasad.
Okay, Prasad, right. He is it's holiday, so he is missing because for Diwali, and we do want to be respectful. Sudeshna, what time do you need to leave?
I need to leave around 7:10, 7:15.
Okay. And all right.
I'll need to leave around 7.
Okay. All right. So Shawnee. All right. So I don't think this was reviewed in that the calendar was reviewed, and we should not have had a meeting tonight from my perspective, but we do appreciate that you're here and we will get you off as quickly as we can. So the first thing we need to do is review the minutes from the September Sammamish Art Commission meeting. And did everybody have a chance to review? And once everybody has can, I don't know, say that they've reviewed it, then we can look for a motion to approve. There were some additional comments that Claredel entered or sent to Janie, and Janie entered those into the agenda and highlighted them in yellow. So if the minutes that you're looking at do not have that amendment, please check your email again and review that.
I don't see them. Janie, can you show the minutes so that they can see the addition that you made?
Of course, yeah, we should go over it together. So they're by and large the same, but I added per your voicemail, Claredel, thank you for reaching out. A little more detail around our budget discussion. So I added that the change we're expecting for the 23-24 biennial budget update is that we will eliminate the public art fund. And as we talked about last time, that's for the strategic plan, which is listed in the bullet point below. So we're expecting to eliminate that except for the $50,000 that's been allotted for the DEI sculpture, and then capture the discussion of that Sudeshna started expressing an interest to submit a letter around your guys' positions and feelings about that. So that is the edit that was made.
Maybe it's understood by everybody, but it might be helpful if you put down a figure that actually changes the permanent public art fund. I think at our meeting, we were talking about a figure that had been eliminated from our reserve account of $100,000. And I don't see that shown specifically any place here.
Yeah, I mean, in our discussion, we kind of explained that it's not a reserve account so much as your capital fund. So while that money was in the capital fund, it wasn't like a savings account that we were saving up for. And all of those numbers are public record in the budget. So it is connected to the agenda packet that was also submitted. But if the whole council wants me to put that number in there, happy to do so.
I would like to see a figure put there so we know what kind of amount of money, even in a range, that we might be talking about that we have that's been eliminated.
Okay.
We can put a there.
If you don't mind making a motion, and then we can second and vote, and then we can make that edit, and then you can vote on approving the agenda with that line added in it.
Okay, so I'll does somebody want to make a motion to adjust that line item?
I make a motion to adjust the line item for the amount that we had the discussion. Sudeshna had made her comments last month, and that we put a figure down there, even if it's a range of dollars, so that in the future, if we want to refer back to the minutes, we have some dollar fund to refer to, even if it's a range.
Does anybody want to second that motion?
I second it.
Okay. First and second. And then what number do we want to vote on? So do we make the adjustment now, Janie? And then,
So just the adjustment will be, the eliminated amount was, and then I will look up the number. And then that'll just be one sentence added in. So if, well, how about we vote on it? And if that's approved, then we
okay,
talk
so
about how
let's,
it'll go.
first off, we still have a council member that is locked out. She's
Oh,
not
no.
a panelist. It's Ashley Arrington. It has you,
Okay.
her in as an attendee.
Perfect. I'm adding her now.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we are going to have a vote. Do we want to add a dollar amount into the highlighted line to discuss in reference to what was discussed at last month's meeting? Yays. I guess we have so many people who don't have a screen on, so I think you'll have to do the raising of the hand. So yays, put up your hand.
I'll say yay.
Okay, we have Clara Del, Sudeshna, Shawnee, and Anne.
I think
Any-
Ashley might need a review of what we voted
Ashley
on.
wasn't
I
at
have-
last month's
Yeah,
meeting.
I'm abstaining.
She
Okay.
doesn't get to vote. So any no's? And I'll abstain.
Okay, so that
So-
was, sorry, go ahead, Megan.
No, so we have voted to add a dollar amount to the highlighted line, and we'll need to have that, we can have hands go down. So I know somebody has a comment. Shani, do you need your hand up still?
I'm just trying to figure out on the mobile how to kind of bring my
Okay, no-
hand down. So
no
give me
problem.
just a second.
Yep, no problem. I just didn't want that you were waiting to make a comment. So, okay, what is the dollar amount? The motion passes. What is the dollar amount?
$150,000.
Okay,
Is it dollars?
so we're adding the line 150,000 into the yellow highlighted line of the budget that was discussed in September's meeting. And if you could share that again, please. And then we will need to have another vote.
Mhm.
Does anybody have any other comments? In regards, we'll wait till that gets shared. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to push ahead.
Thank you.
May I just add a comment?
Mhm. Go
Uh,
ahead.
I'm not sure that it was discussed last month, but the way we came up with that $150,000 was for the last two biennials. We went to finance and asked finance if they could create a special account where money that we did not spend in our operating budget, we could put it aside in a special account that was created by finance specifically so that we would have that money to go to. So for 4 years, the arts
I think this comment, we had this discussion that actually that's not quite what had happened. That what had happened was that the money was it wasn't set aside, and you and I think some of us thought we used the word rollover, but it wasn't actually that. Is that correct? Janie? Yeah, so we thought I think this was part of the discussion from last week, that some of us thought we had heard or understood it to be a rollover, but it actually wasn't a rollover. It was that it had been approved and that it was a biannual, so it was 2 years, not 4, I think was the other correction that was made. I was under the impression it was 4 at the time too, Claridel, and I think I don't know if that was a communication or but I think that was clarified by Anjali and Jeannie at the last meeting.
Well, I did call Margaret Rosenau because she and I were on on the commission for the 2 biennial periods, the 4 years.
Uh-huh.
And I can assure you, it was not just 1 biennial of 2 years. It was 2 biennials totaling 4 years. Margaret and I can both attest to that because we participated in voting to try to get finance to do that. And we took it to the council
Okay.
and the council approved that.
Yeah, I can attest to that too. I was
Okay.
there.
Maybe I should clarify. So what had happened was that between the first biennial cycle you're discussing and the second one, money wasn't, it's not like it was saved and then you got more added in. It was just that you were rebudgeted more dollars. That's just the way the terminology works, how it was technically happened. So I think I understand what you're saying, that you think, or from your perspective, it was, we have $50,000, we're adding $50,000. So we're like saving up to do a bigger project. And I understand where that frustration is coming from, that now it's not being rebudgeted again. But just for like the technicality of how it happened, that would be it. And Megan, I'm ready to share the
Okay,
edit
could
that
you
I
share it,
added.
please? Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think what we're hearing here is like, that there's a really valid point here that there's, well, let's move through and see if we can approve this and then take a little bit of comment on the next piece. So can you start at the top, Jeannie, so everybody can do just a clear review of what the minutes were from September's meeting? Oh, did Shawnee, you're here. Did you vote on the last motion?
Actually, I did, but I wasn't there last
Right.
meeting.
So I think Shawnee needs to be taken off of the minutes when you're recording this, Janie. She shouldn't have voted.
Does it say in here that she voted? I think
No,
it
I
did.
mean, we
Okay.
just, on the vote that just
Correct.
happened
Mhm.
here to do that update of the dollars, that's
Okay.
where Shawnee needs to be removed.
So since it's just the update, like agreeing to update, would that not be okay? Like, I mean, it's not the proposal of how many dollars kind of thing.
But it's an update to the minutes. So the people who were present for the minutes are the people who can vote.
Okay,
Because
thanks.
if you weren't here to hear the whole conversation, you don't have the context of whether or not that dollar amount should be included, if that makes sense. Right?
Really quick,
Yes.
Okay.
so just so I have an understanding of what is happening moving forward.
Okay,
So
hang on, Ashley, let's have a comment, let's have an opportunity to catch Shawnee and Ashley up, but let's first get these minutes closed. So can you finish scrolling down? Because neither Shawnee nor Ashley know what's happening here and in regards to the budget, and we do need to take a minute to circle them in. So the minutes were available. We've now done some clarification. And so now we want to make a move. Does anybody want to make a motion to pass these minutes as shown here? Not Ashley or Shawnee. And no offense, Ashley and Shawnee.
I'll make a motion as amended.
Okay, Claredel makes a motion to pass the minutes, the September minutes as amended. Do we have a second?
I can second.
Okay, Sudeshna seconds. Let's hold a vote. I can't see everybody. Maybe you can, Janie. Okay, so please, oh, Anne's on it. We are voting. If you vote to approve, put up your hand.
Hand up.
Claredel's hand is up. That's it. We pass with the motion of 4-0. No, anybody, any nay that I missed or any abstentions that I missed? The only abstentions are Shawnee and Ashley because they weren't here, so I don't even think they're considered as abstentions, correct? Okay, can you go back to the minutes? Do we have a agenda, excuse me, do we have a moment in the agenda to finish talking about the budget so we can fill Ashley and Shawnee in?
We do. So our agenda, how about the next thing
Yeah.
on the agenda is to approve the agenda, and then we always go over the budget and we can have another round of questions about it at that time. If you want to.
Okay, I think there was one part in here that said, at first, is there any public comment? Janie?
I didn't receive any written and there's nobody on the line.
Okay, so no public written or verbal. Next. All right, staff updates. There is an application process. We have upcoming vacancies, position 4, which is, this is a current vacancy. Position 5 would expire in June of 2027, and position 6, 2027. Who is, can we find out who is position 5 and position 6?
Yes, position 5 is Claridel's position and 6 is Ashley's position. So if both of you would like to reapply, you're welcome to do so. You can do it the same way you did last time on iCompass. This is also hyperlinked to the application if you have the PDF up. I'm going to let Emily talk about these staff updates though, if that's okay
Yeah,
with you, Megan. Perfect.
yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of like what Janie said, the applications are currently open. So of course, current members are welcome to reapply, but also if you know anyone interested, please encourage them to apply. Does anyone have questions about the application process? Obviously, you guys have all been through it.
Quick question.
Mhm.
Is,
Over the year has changed on the people who wanted to reapply. The council said that it was okay to resubmit the prior paperwork that the applicant had used before. I'm wondering if that is still going to be honored by the reviewing committee, because I think that last time there were a couple people who reapplied and they just resubmitted their prior paperwork.
I'm going to say that everyone's going to need to fill out a new application, just so that we make sure we have all the current information. So the link that Janie put on this form will send you directly to it. It's an online form. It's very quick and easy. But in order for council to look at everything that's been reviewed, please fill it out completely and make sure that you hit submit. That's going to be the way to get your application in.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
oh, Emily, just real quick, is position 4, is that Whitney's position that she left? Okay.
Yes.
Do you know when these are due by?
December, I want to say the 14th. I can double check right here for you.
Thank you.
Let me email you guys all tomorrow for sure, but I think it's mid-December. December 14th sticks out in my head, but it's actually not on this application form. So I'll find out for sure and then follow up with an email out to everybody.
Great. Thank you.
Can you also just attach the link for the application, please? Because I don't think I got this email. At least I couldn't find it. It might have gotten buried somehow, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
no
appreciate that. If it's a problem, I can just Google it.
problem. No problem. I don't mind. We can send that out tomorrow.
And youth board's art interest? Is that you, Emily? Uh-oh, she's frozen. Oh,
Yes, sure. Yep. Oh, am I? Can you hear me?
yeah,
Nope.
you keep
Can you hear me?
freezing.
Let me see if I turn off. Let's see. Does that help if I have my camera off? Can you at least
It
hear me?
seems to be, we can hear you better.
Okay, we'll do that for now. So I don't know for those of you who may be aware, but the city of Sammamish does have a youth board that gets involved in different city aspects. They run, it's another commission. It runs very similar to this one. So they have expressed some interest in getting involved with possibly having like an cultural arts subcommittee in their commission. So there was some overlap. We just wanted to kind of bring it up for discussion if this group had interest with working with our city youth board, if you guys had any ideas of how you guys could collaborate and get involved. They do a lot of volunteer work around the city. They also hold once a month meetings. They participate in council meetings. So we just kind of wanted to open that up for discussion and see what your thoughts were.
God, thank you.
I'm totally in favor. I think that's fabulous.
I agree. It's great to see youth interested in so many things. It's just fabulous. And I would love to just maybe talk to them, have them come and present to us at some point about what they're up to and what they're looking for. That would be great.
Yeah, I think they'd really enjoy that. They represent all the high schools in the district. They're very active and engaged. They're really excited and motivated. So I will work with Janie to see if we can get a time to either have some of them attend one of these meetings, or maybe if some of the Arts Commission members want to speak at one of their meetings. It's a rather large group. They do meet in person at City Hall. But Janie and I will kind of put our heads together and see what the next steps there would be. But I know that they're excited with the possibility of working with you all.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so we can go down to the next one here. Jeannie, since you're kind of driving the screen, do you mind just, yep, perfect. Okay, so this should look familiar as we kind of go over this, frequently. So the last line item is going to be the newest addition. That was the Lego event, which was very successful and popular. So that $1,000 did come out as an expense. So that's going to be the only edit to that document. And then down here, this is where you guys' total expenditures and balances sit. So again, most of you, Ashley, maybe you didn't get this, but everyone should have links to this so you can revisit it at any time. But this is where your guys' current balance is for everything.
So I don't have the exact numbers here, but I did, okay, hang on. I did see in the other thing that we had lost 150,000. Is that correct? I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Megan, did you want to review that kind of the conversation we were diving into earlier, just a recap for folks who weren't here?
Okay, I will do my best. Sorry, I was just trying to eat my food that was
sorry.
delivered. So this is my understanding. We had our capital fund and our regular annual budget, and I could be using some of the wrong words. So as I'm explaining it, Janie and Emily, please jump in and correct me. My understanding is that we have a new city manager. The new city manager, I don't know if chicken or egg, I don't know which came first, but I know the topic of the strategic art plan came back up, and they've decided, well, the city council, I believe, still has to vote on whether or not we get to do the strategic art plan. But at this point, assuming that the strategic art plan gets passed by the city council, meaning the cost to kick off the strategic art plan, that all of this money sort of goes away. It hasn't been spent. It's been sitting here. The challenge that I heard was that we didn't have a firm plan in place of how we were going to spend this money. And so as a result, the city council, who wants to see the city move forward with art, wants to understand what the city's vision is for this, and then what this art commission's vision is, and put this together for a city plan, at which case they're expecting that, I think they were saying about $75,000. That the money, that 75,000 would come out of our 200,000 that we had to be spent on the strategic art plan. The art plan would then take, I think Anjali was saying sort of at minimum 9 months, but probably closer to somewhere closer to 15. And then I've talked to a couple of people who have tried to see these strategic plans go into place, and they say 15 to 18. So at that point, we would receive direction, and that we could figure out, we would have money allotted again into a budget, and then we would be able to help create the plan that fulfills that city's vision or the obligation. The other thing is there any correction so far?
Oh, you're doing great. Yeah.
Okay. The other piece that I'm understanding is that if we have things in place, or if we have things that we're still very passionate about, that if we did our due diligence, so if we did our research, if we came up with our plan, we could then potentially go to the city and say, this is what we're looking for. We could do it at any time during the process, or maybe it was in the first year of the biannual budget, but we could go to city council with and present. So we haven't been eliminated. Our capital funds budget hasn't, we're not being told we can't ever spend another penny until the strategic art plan comes back. But based on what Barbara and I experienced when we went to city council regarding the DEI project, my feeling personally is that unless we have a plan that is very locked down, very specific, that the city council will probably want to wait until that strategic plan comes back. Now, this doesn't affect our annual, like our, I think it's $65,050 operating budget. This is what we're talking about, this 200,000, and that's being tied into the strategic art plan is the capital expenditures.
Okay, I'm just confused because in the thing about the minutes, it said something about like 150,000 and then 50,000. So what I'm taking away from what you're saying is they are taking away the permanent art fund. Anything we want to move forward with, we have to do all the work, assuming we will not have any money to do anything with it, like to use for it. And then if we get everything together, assuming we're not going to get any money, we have to go and then ask for the money. And basically nothing's happening until the strategic plan is done.
My understanding is basically that last bit is it. There's not.
The first bit's it too.
Yeah, but it really, well, it's sort of, I mean, basically we don't have, other than our operating expenses, they didn't take away our permanent fund, they took away our capital expenses. And they didn't, it simply, the part that is confusing to me, I'm going to be honest, is that we asked for the strategic art plan. And when you, Ashley, were art chair, you were the one who went to bat for it, and it was turned down.
Yeah, I want the strategic art plan.
And now
I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
I'm just,
but
it seems interesting that you can, in one sentence, say you're passionate about art in the city and yet gut the money. I know you didn't, but the council.
I know it's not
That
personal.
doesn't really make sense. Sorry, guys.
And I think we still have time to go to the city and express our concerns, because that's exactly what I was talking about last time. It came as a big shock to me personally that all that money's gone, because I know we did have plans for it. So I think there is still time to go to the city and tell them this is what we were planning on using the money for. And I agree with Ashley. I don't think we need to stop doing what we're doing outside of all our regular programming. Just for the strategic plan to, happen and come to us. So that's like, we're looking at like 2 years, and we can do a lot more with that money in 2 years and still have the strategic plan.
So I don't know if I had to present the DEI project with Janie and Barbara in front of the city council. And I would say, I mean, there's no harm in writing a letter, but I don't think anything's gonna happen. I think they're very on board with the idea of the strategic art plan, and Anjali spoke to the fact that we did ask for it before and it's been voted down. And I think
I don't have an issue with the strategic art plan. I don't mind the strategic art plan coming out, the 75,000 coming out from our 200,000. My problem is that they just took it away.
Right, but they're not
Yeah.
gonna.
When there are things planned, but nobody, except for I think Amy, who's come a few times, probably has any idea what's actually happening here.
And that was my concern as well, because this should have been a conversation before it was
Right.
taken away. And that was my concern.
And I think I totally agree. And I was very surprised because when I was presenting, everybody, the city council members all started talking about the strategic art plan and that they were actually going to hold off doing the DEI project in lieu of the strategic art plan. Like, we almost did not get the DEI project.
I mean, if we had $200,000, we could have used 50,000 of that to add to the DEI project and get
Right,
more people to apply to it.
right,
We could have totally done that.
right. And why we couldn't, I don't understand.
Council.
Well,
The previous council.
The
Yeah,
previous
the previous council. Because we asked for it,
mhm,
Jillian and I. Who was the original people who presented? Anyhow, we had asked for more money. Chris had even offered to give us part of the Parks and Rec
Mhm.
extra money he had, and they told him no. Like, we had wanted to do more money. But the previous council wasn't interested.
well, and that came up too as an issue of if we had had more money, and that's when Anjali, and I think that was when Anjali spoke up about it. And
Right,
I think it's sort of the right hand, it's like, we want to come up with a vision. And so we're willing to spend the money on the vision, but as a result, like, they don't want to pay, like, if you think about a house, like, they don't, you want to go do they're not going to pay for you to like hire the architect to come up with the plan and then start the remodel on your own. I think that's the way they're looking at it, is that they don't want to give us the money to move forward. If we're investing this money into a strategic art plan, they want to pause everything until we hear feedback from the strategic art plan.
And just so
Yeah.
we're clear, I guess this is directed more towards the staff. Is this just the city manager's proposed budget, or is this the budget that the council has all discussed and agreed upon and what they see? Or is this just the city manager's proposed budget?
It has been discussed, but it is not finalized. So it hasn't been voted through council and approved, but like the meeting that Megan and Barb were at last month, that's when things were getting discussed. So it's not a surprise to anybody. But it's not 100% voted on and adopted yet.
It's a surprise to us.
Yeah, it is a surprise to us.
Well, I'm
so
sorry. I meant
don't
it
know why
wouldn't be a
you would say that.
surprise. I'm sorry. I meant it wouldn't be a surprise to like council and the city manager if you went and talked to them. They've seen this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we still have time to talk to them, and I think we should talk to them and just tell them what we think. I think the DEI sculpture as it stands doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would just love to see more money added to it from our capital fund. I know the council has really good intentions about everything. They want to make sure everything is done right, but 4 years down the
Oh.
line, if you see a sculpture that does not look like a DEI sculpture, I don't think that's going to be a good thing.
So at this point, Amy has her hand up. So how does the public comment work now? Janie, I don't want to mess up Amy. I want to give her a chance.
Yeah, Amy as a council member.
Council member, yeah.
isn't public comment.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Amy. I don't know my do's and don'ts here.
But this is a good question. We're gonna ask for clarification tomorrow, Megan, at our Robert's Rules training, but I wouldn't see the harm in.
Okay, I'm gonna call on Amy. Okay. Amy, I'm calling on you.
Hi there. I thought I'd jump in now. I did talk to, excuse me, I have a cold. I did talk to Anjali today about when to speak, simply because I understand this isn't my meeting and I certainly don't want to speak out of place, and I want to be respectful that this is your meeting. But and Anjali did say that it would come up with staff and in training tomorrow, how to handle when a council member is in one of your meetings. I just wanted to step in because there was just some discussion about the strategic arts plan and the amount of money that was given for the DEI project. And you know, a lot of the pre-work for the DEI project happened before I was on council. With regards to, you know, what happened previously, obviously, I don't know. With regard to the amount of money for the project, you know, when it first came to council, I believe it was raised that $50,000 was, at least in my opinion, when it did come to council, that it wasn't sufficient enough to get enough applicants. And that was really just in my review of seeing what public art projects we were vying against, and most projects were along the lines of 80 to 100,000. And I did mention that, you know, that this is an opportunity where the commission would have to consider grants or even looking at private funding. And then in the previous commission meeting I was in, I did bring up, you know, perhaps pausing this RFP and putting more money into it. And if I recall correctly, there were a number of commissioners that said, since the process was already ongoing, that it would be inappropriate, since there were already applicants, to reopen it with a different number. So, you know, that is my recollection, you know, if it's faulty. But, you know, in terms of the strategic plan, the thinking behind that has always been that in order to buy public art, you have to know what the goals are for the city. You know, what constitutes our vision of public art? You know, what is the community's vision of the types of public art we want to buy? And importantly, where are the locations that we can put public art? Because otherwise you end up with a hodgepodge of art throughout the city. There's no rhyme or reason. And I'm not an expert in public art. I would certainly want a consultant to come in and take a look at our community and figure out where the best places are to put public art. And that is what, you know, consultants do. If you look at the city of Seattle, they have multiple strategic plans based on areas of the city. There's a strategic plan for waterfront public art and in some of the urban areas. So that is the role that having a strategic plan, you know, that's what it's supposed to do, and that's what it's going to help. And it also takes some of the subjectivity out of buying art and what do we want, because art, as you all know, is very subjective, and any way that you can make more informed decisions on those areas, it's a lot easier to sell the art to the public and have a strong rationale for why that particular piece.
Megan, you're muted.
Amy, would you take questions from our commission right now if somebody had some additional questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we're losing a couple of our members. This is Diwali, one of the most important or the most important Hindu religious holiday. And we're losing members that need to be able to go spend time with family. So we've lost Sudeshna, and I know Shawnee has to get off soon.
Megan, is there anything we need to vote on? Like maybe we should use the time. I don't know if Amy needs to go, but is there things that need to get voted that maybe we need a quorum to do before everybody
I
leaves?
will be leaving. I'm sorry. This is Shani.
Okay, bye, Shawnee. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Janie, can you show the agenda again? Because we have 4 members, which is actually, so we have 4, we have missing 3, right? 4. No, we're missing 4.
I don't think we had anything that we needed to vote on tonight.
Okay. No. Okay, so we can keep going through the meeting. Does anybody have any questions for Amy?
I guess I have a question, Amy. So I agree with everything you said. I have been a strong advocate for the strategic plan for years, since I basically started on the Arts Commission. And I 100% think it needs to move forward, and I'm so happy that it seems to actually be moving forward. I guess, in your opinion, or in your, I guess opinion is the best word, is council open to us actually doing anything, or do you feel that it's like, no, it's a mute point, no point in moving forward until the strategic plan is done?
Moving forward with what? I'm sorry, you kind of cut out. there.
Different projects. Like if you're going to gut the budget, the capital budget, and my understanding from what Megan said, we could propose something. But I mean, in order to propose something to the council, there's a lot of work that goes into it before we would even bring it to you. It seems kind of like maybe a waste or demotivating 100% to do something or to try to move forward with something that would then have to be voted on. And I guess, do you think it'd be positively accepted? I don't know if I'm making any sense.
You know, if it's relating the purchase of public art, you know, I would definitely have a strategic plan in place. I don't know if commissioners have looked at various strategic plans. I mean, I actually think, you know, if I was a commissioner, I actually think it's a document that is pretty exciting to work on. And I would want to be able to influence that and be able to select the consultant, simply because it's going to be a document that is going to live for a really long time. And you guys get to influence that. You know, it's much like our city having a comp plan that we're going to be working on, you know, which is going to inform the next 20 years. And that's kind of how I see the strategic arts plan being. You know, it's going to be a living document that is going to live for quite a long time. And it's going to inform future arts commissions, you know, what type of art to buy. You know, and so in terms of, you know, I mean, just look at it this way. It's like you're the first filter, you know, in terms of what we buy.
And that's why I, again, like, appreciate that we are actually going to get to move forward with the strategic plan. I think it's needed and I am excited about it, but I kind of feel like it is making the Arts Commission slightly stagnant in anything that could possibly happen over the next few years, other than what we could get done with $60,000, which isn't, I guess it's all just temporary things.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if like stagnant is the right word. I still think there's a lot that you guys can do. And I don't know which consultants you've reached out to where they say it would take about 18 months. I would think that it would take 9 months at the most, but I could be wrong.
Anne?
So I have a question. Should we be thinking about reaching out to consultants at this point, or should we wait until the budget is locked?
Well, we're looking at the budget in November and, you know, hopefully we'll be able to pass it next month. So the wait isn't very long. And I don't know who on staff will be, you know, putting together an RFP for that, but that's something definitely that the commission can help inform too. You know, what are the big buckets, knowing that I don't know what's going to happen in terms of the dollar amount, but the dollar amount is going to inform, you know, what are the big areas that the consultant can look at. I mean, they can't look at everything, right? Depending on what the budget. So what are the aspects of this, of a strategic plan that do you guys find the most important and most needed? And that, you know, to me would be taking a look at a lot of the areas and neighboring, you know, cities and what their strategic arts plans look like.
Okay. And you
Right,
think
so to
that-
clarify, we're not reaching out, Anne, like that
Okay.
would be a RFP. I mean, it hasn't been, the budget hasn't been approved, like, and then an RFP would have to be created. So
Yeah.
that, and then we could help create the RFP, like we could have influence
Okay.
in what that says.
Yeah, I thought I heard Amy say something about reaching out to consultants, and I was like,
Yeah, no,
that came as a
it's not
surprise.
on
Okay.
our. And then, there's a really clear, I mean, like, I think part of this is also what is city, what the volunteers do, right? Like what we do. Like we were told when, and Ashley and I went to the council at one point, I'm getting confused, but it was when Christie was mayor, and we were told to go back out, and she did a quick search on her phone of like how to find money, and it was like $1,000 grants. And then Chris came back and said, we as a city have given money to those groups. So for us to turn around and ask for money is not proper. Like it was poor advice. So there, you know, and then Ashley created a letter. But typically, like from what we understood from Chris, this isn't something that as volunteers, we're supposed to be going out and asking for money that way. That was, I mean, Ashley composed the letter, we did some edits, but really that shouldn't have been on Ashley either. So if I understand it right, like that's what we were advised by the city employee. So, but what I'm understanding is, and to put you on the spot a little bit, Amy, it's just that, you know, we're obviously, you feel this energy that we feel that the ground has sort of been removed from underneath us. Is that what we can do is once the budget is approved, once we can help influence the RFP, and then once the group is hired, then we can help at the foundation level, right, of the strategic art plan. But and then the other job that we have is really, we still have that $65,000 operating expenses that we have influence, but that's not long-term vision, right? We're really looking in the here and now within the next sort of fiscal year each time. So, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the most important thing is that you guys have the strategic plan. You can always come back, you know, once you have that plan and you have projects, you know, that you want to work on, you know, there's definitely, we're not shutting the door on any of that. And plus, you know, I want to congratulate you guys, you know, you have the DEI project moving forward now, which is pretty exciting. You know, between those two things, it should be a pretty exciting year for you guys.
Right. Yes, I mean, I think, and I'm speaking for myself, but I think the thing that is affecting some of the members that have been around longer, so the Barbara Kraus, I don't know quite how, I don't want to speak on behalf of Claredel because she and I haven't had a conversation, but Ashley and I have had a conversation. Sudeshna and I have talked a little bit, is that we were really wanting to move forward with the idea with this sculpture park and without a strategic plan because that wasn't approved. And we were told to keep waiting. And we were given direction pretty much that nothing's going to happen with it. Nothing's going to happen with it. And so not a lot was done. And that's where I think that's where people feel like things have shifted, that we weren't given direction by city council, but we were told that city council probably isn't going to move forward with this. So this isn't really the time to move forward.
Mhm.
And then, now we're sitting here feeling like, I don't know. There you go. I don't know. Sort of where I think people are still in a little bit of shock, but there you go. Oh, Anjali has to go too. Bye, Anjali.
And like I said, I haven't been,
Yeah.
on council, this is my first year. So any of, previous decisions, I'm not that
Right.
informed. And I actually don't know, like some of the other projects that you guys are working on. I've heard you guys talk about having a sculpture park, which I think could be a cool idea, but I would also be interested in seeing how that would fit into a strategic plan too, because a huge part of this, I think, is that the town center is not done.
Right.
And, some consultant is going to come and they're going to evaluate all the locations in our city. And it's hard to put art into an area as big as town center when it's not even done. We don't even know exactly what's going to go into it. And so, given that, one of my questions is, how do we move forward with a strategic plan, and is having a dedicated area such as a sculpture park, an option? And as the town center evolves, we find additional places. And so this is where I find having a consultant is going to be really helpful. And I also think helpful to you guys in that it will give more credibility to some of the things that you're proposing.
Mhm. Is there a possibility that if a strategic art plan is created, that another council could come in say 4 years time and just say, well, that's the old strategic plan and now we're editing it?
I think there's, as with all plans, people may come in and they may want to redo it, but, it's usually amended or updated, but the foundational thought is kept.
Okay. I've never worked with one, so this is my first time doing anything with the city ever. So my questions and concerns may seem really off the wall. I just don't know the right way. Okay. Does anybody have any additional questions to put Amy on the hot seat? She's she attends, and then we. Okay.
I did have a few comments about the DEI presentation. We can circle back if there's other things on the agenda first that you wanted to talk about.
Next on the agenda is a DEI sculpture update, which we were hoping Megan can debrief the other
Oh yeah,
commissioners
I'll
who
follow
went.
on that.
And then, yeah, you can ask questions. That'd be perfect.
Because the whole council does, or whole commission doesn't know yet. So as some of you know, last week, we, Barbara and I, with Jamie as our spearheading, we presented to city council the 3 choices, the 3 artists and their proposed projects. And we also reviewed the location that had been voted on by council before, and then presented a couple of different options of ways they could make a motion to move. And there was quite a bit of discussion. And I would say the way Barbara and I'm going to speak for her, but she and I we debriefed afterwards that both of us thought that nothing was going to happen and everything was going to be turned down, including location and the art, and that we were going to then wait for a strategic plan. what ended up happening was I would say it was the discussion like 45 minutes, something like that, with motions and all different kinds of conversations. And the result was that the artist was approved, and that was Jasmine Iona, what's her last name? Brown? What, Brown? She was approved, though neither proposal was like seriously loved, which was fine, because that's part of what we understood as the process would be. We could recommend, but really it was about the artist, and that the artist is we're going to go back to her. The location was then is no longer approved. And we're going to go back to the artist as the expert and have her relook at potential locations. So that's going to be on the onus of the Parks Department to come up with ideas for her. And then she's going to go through her process, which is enlisting the city and asking for community feedback on the way to transform her idea of DEI into something that would be visible and concrete in our community. But it was a long process, and yeah, so there you go. Yeah, Anne.
Curious about the location. What was the discussion there?
It was safety was the primary. So they last spring, Ashley presented the 3 locations, and City Council chose the location at Big Rock Park. And the first council member that spoke up at last week's meeting talked about safety there. So, you know, it was one of the places options was, so in Big Rock Park, I don't know if you all remember seeing the proposal, but it was in that, like, right in front of the parking near those big hills that the kids climb on. And then the other idea was down by the what is it called? You jump on the rope. I don't know, my kids are in love with it, whatever that is. Zip line. Thank you.
Yeah.
They always come back sweaty from the zip line. So those were the 2 proposed places at Big Rock Park, I believe, but it was.
I must have gotten something confused, because I thought that sculpture that she proposed was going to go in front of the, like, near the library.
That's what she showed in her pictures was a sample of art that she had done somewhere in South King County. I don't remember if it was Auburn or
It was in
Kent.
Spokane, actually.
Spokane. Okay, so not in King County at all. So in Spokane, and that was indeed in front of a library. But
Okay.
that was
I
not
must
one
have
of
gotten
the,
confused.
yeah, no, it was, I think that is an easy mistake because the photos looked like it was in front of a library, because
Yeah.
that's what she used in her RFP. And that also came up was perhaps in front of the library could be an option, but we didn't actually, when locations were being scouted by the Parks Department, the in front of the library wasn't considered as one of the options at the time. But I think so this was before you, Anne, I think it was Big Rock Park, Bill Reams. Ashley, do you remember what the other location was?
East Sammamish Park.
Is that Bill Reams?
There were
Don't
2
know.
different locations in Big Rock
In
Park.
Big Rock. Okay, so there were 2 Big Rock and one was Bill Reams or East Sammamish Park. Sorry,
Okay.
it has 2 names.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions about that, the DEI? All right, Amy, you had some comments. Thanks for waiting.
Yeah, sure. I just, I did want to congratulate you guys. It's hard sometimes to get things through to city council, and so, I know that you know, Megan and Barbara can attest to that I was one of the ones that wanted to, you know, pause this project and wait for the strategic plan. And, you know, sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. And, you know, I get this in my workplace. But I always, you know, I never take it personally. And I definitely support, you know, the work that you guys are doing and will move forward with. And obviously we'll make this like the best sculpture, you know, and make any adjustments that we hear, you know, that council or the public is concerned with. I just wanted to clarify that, you know, I don't want to be the sandbag and, you know, it's, you know, I didn't get my way, so I'm going to be like a poor sport about it. No, and I don't take that personally. I did want to call something out that happened in the presentation, and the way I'm going to explain it, I'm going to try to do it in the most respectful way possible. And I say this not as a council member, but as a colleague and as somebody that's a person of color. You know, this was a presentation of work by people of color, you know, people with names that may not be easily pronounced. And there were the last artist, Leah Wynn, her name was pronounced incorrectly. I do, you know, I felt a little, I don't even know, I was a little, I think it would have been more appropriate to have like reached out to the artists, you know, prior to the presentation and just say, hey, you know, we're going to make this presentation, we're going to be showing your work, and I just wanted to confirm, you know, what's the correct pronunciation of your work. And especially since this is for DEI and the whole idea of being inclusive, and people that aren't, people that are people of color typically have names that may be more difficult to pronounce. And I just think that it would have been like just a better reflection on the city to get their names correct. So I just wanted to point that out. And again, you know, I don't mean to be disrespectful of the presentation or how it was given, just something that I caught.
I think that's good feedback. I do know that it was said, she said, if I'm pronouncing it, I think I'm not pronouncing it correctly or something like that, but it's a good, and we probably could have even had a pronunciation in the chat that popped up, so other council members could have felt more comfortable when referring to the artist. Did you have anything else you wanted to add about the proposal?
No, I mean,
Yeah, so Amy was the one who voted against, but it, you know, you're also a very strong proponent of art, and you were the only council member who's come to our commission meetings more than once. So that also, you know, that speaks, your presence speaks more than one
well,
vote.
thank you. I mean, I
think.
want you guys to all be successful, and
Yeah.
I want our city to have great art. So,
well, and I will say that that meeting was so frustrating that in the background, I was like, I'm done. Like, I was like, I'll step out, because I was like, this is really the only thing we've been doing for on and off since I joined. And it's been yanking back and forth. And I was just like, government is not for me. I was like, I'm done. And Barbara was like, me too. But I don't know if she really would have, but I was very close to being fair. I just don't know how government is a whole different can of beans. But yeah, it was an interesting conversation, but the job now is that we go back to the artist and allow Jasmine to take the feedback and to be able to make adjustments with the feedback. So respecting the artist and her vision, and allowing her to do what she's good at, which is she's going to come up with more ideas. She's going to find more ways to express DEI as it means to her and hopefully how it can reflect back into our city. And then she's going to, at the same time, create conversation and receive feedback from our community. So,
And she'll have to think about how to engineer it so it's more safe. And it'd probably be good to ask her if they've had any issues in the Spokane installation.
And then I think as a commission, we need to understand from Jamie and Emily what our role is in that.
Megan, what is the status with the artist? After your meeting with the council, does the artist know that she has been selected as our choice, or are we there yet in communicating with the artist?
I'll share because Megan doesn't know.
Okay.
Yeah, all of the artists have been notified of the decision from council meeting. And Jasmine knows that Emily and I will be reaching out to her soon. So next steps moving forward beyond what Megan's already shared, which was great. Thank you, Megan. Emily and I are going to be reaching out to the artist to let her know what the timeline kind of looks like. Emily will work with the artist to figure out contracting. Staff is going to be kind of doing a survey of our parks and facilities to see other locations that could work. It might be a great improvement. Location could be more visible. It could be more of a centerpiece, which would be great. Who knows? So that Emily,
Yeah, no, you've hit all the points. So yes, the artist was informed that she was selected to be our artist for this project. Like Megan said, the Parks Department will work on a few locations, and then together we can come up with a final scope of work in which city staff will put together the contracting. So, the commission, you guys don't need to worry about any contracting or anything like that. City staff will handle all of that. We are really just going to lean on you for your guidance and expertise in shaping what the actual, project looks like. And we hope that you all can be involved in the community process when, the artist is reaching out to see what the community wants to see out of this project. We hope that you're there and that your voice is heard, and you ask other people to join in that process as well. But yeah, moving forward, you guys will be kept in the loop of exactly where we are and what's happening with this, but we are really excited that it is happening, and it's going to be a great project.
So as a side note, I think Claredel's point what I'm hearing without the direct word is that would we have been included in that communication with her? Like, should we have known about it? That they were either closed out, or that in Jasmine's case that she was selected?
Oh, I mean, we
Is
absolutely.
that typical? I don't know. I mean, I just don't know what the rules
Right.
are.
With the normal, I mean, yeah, if the commission would like to be included in the future, but after it was voted on in council, I guess we were just excited and went forward with it. But if folks feel that they would like to be included in that conversation, it was just a brief email saying that, you were selected and we'll reach out. It really was really short.
yeah,
Jamie,
Emily's so
you-
nice. She was on vacation. She had no idea I was even doing it. It was, so I figured we would, it happened last Tuesday. Today on Monday, we would let you guys know the decision. But I didn't want to let the artist wait a full week before hearing back. So I just sent them a very quick
Got it.
email.
I'm asking the question because, and Megan put it in different words. Is the Arts Commission we're just going to be a community voice?
Yeah.
Is the Arts Commission out of it, so to speak? And if we didn't have any communication with the artist, and there've been decisions made and communications with the artist of which we were, I'll say, excluded or not included, where does that leave the Arts Commission? Does that, the Arts Commission, okay, you've done your deed, and now we'll take it from here, and you can give us your opinions when a community input. In other words, where do we stand? Where the DEI, I thought, was an Arts Commission program. And is that no longer the case, where the arts commissioners or the DEI program is still going to be commandeered, I guess is maybe not the correct word, but certainly supervised, and supervised is not the right word. In other words, what is our role? And Megan asked it in different words.
Yeah, no, Claire, I'm glad that you're clarifying, because we don't want you to feel at all. Definitely the Arts Commission is still going to be spearheading this project. City staff will just be doing the contract work. We'll be doing the paperwork side of things for you, but your guys's expertise, opinion, guiding us through this project, you're going to be with us every step of the way. So, you know, we did the RFP, the proposals came in, you guys were the first group who got to review those, give us opinion. Then that was presented not by city staff, that was presented by the Arts Commission to the council. So you guys are definitely taking the charge in that step. And then moving forward, all we're going to do is provide possible locations for this art, which you guys will also be able to review and know of before we reach out to the artist. And then we'll let the artist do her work and propose, you know, what exactly she may want to put in those locations. Again, you guys will be on the review process. So the Arts Commission is going to be with us every single step of the way. We're far from done on this project, and we will never just say, okay, thanks, we've got it from here. You know, you'll be there at the ribbon cutting, you guys will be there the whole way. So, and then if there's more things that you want to be involved in, just absolutely voice that to Janie or I, if you feel that, you know, there was a miscommunication or that you didn't get some information fast enough, and we'll be sure to correct that, because
I made the comment because the location, you know, they evidently, the council wants to come up with a preferred location. The Arts Commission spent an entire year in evaluating locations throughout the city with pictures, and we spent a whole year in dwindling it down, or putting it down to only 3 locations. So, and then I'm just saying now we say, no, we're going to decide on something totally different. And I'm not questioning the authority. I'm not questioning. I'm just saying, you know we spent a whole year just working on coming up with 3 suggestions, and finally our final. And now we're being told, no, you know, we don't approve. It's going to be something totally different. Evidently something that we never, ever considered.
So Claire Del, that was strictly because of the type of art chosen. So the type of art chosen sits low at where, you know, children's height of where they're running, and the location is put into a play area. So we don't want kids running into it. You know, it's the type of art has to fit the right location. So I think there's still very possible that art will end up in those locations, you know, down the road, but is this the appropriate piece of art to put in that location? I think that from what I heard, I rewatched the council meeting, you know, there were some concerns there, and Amy or Janie, if anyone else wants to speak.
I felt the location was eliminated first thing.
Okay.
Because it was the first thing that Karen Howe spoke to. And at that point, there were three artists being presented. So before, and I realized you weren't there. So, but my perception was that the first comment was question was Karen Howe, and she was asking that putting art at the Big Rock Park was too close to a play area. And that was, it could have been any 3. It could have been the skateboarding cats, which is quite tall. It could have been either the cutout dolls or the cutout children, or it could have been the rocks. It really had that, location was being questioned before the artist.
Oh, okay.
Also,
I would also,
sorry,
like to
I would just like to add, sorry, I'm gonna
Go ahead,
jump
Ashley.
in, Janie. It's just also quite frustrating because the council voted on the location. Like when I presented to them,
Yeah.
they picked this location.
Mhm.
So then we
Okay,
moved
yeah.
forward.
Yeah, I'll
It's
add in here.
frustrating as a commission to make progress to then, I totally understand the new council might not agree with what the previous council did. But it just seems like there's a lot of like, okay, we're gonna move forward. Okay, psych, we aren't those people, so now we want to change everything. And it makes any progress difficult.
Yeah, that's
Um,
understandable. And I think that's why the strategic plan, as it was spoke to, I totally understand where you guys are coming from. And, it's Janie and I are new staff members too. So we're kind of learning as we go and learning the history. But I do really feel that the strategic plan is going to be a wonderful tool for this group to give it some framework so that no matter who is in council, no matter who the mayor is, you have a document and that will be your go-to. But that doesn't help the frustration now. I understand that. It's
And I
hard.
want to share that nothing you guys do will ever go to waste. Like you spent that whole year looking at locations. Now, when we're being asked to go back and look at locations, we don't have to start from scratch. We get to start from where you guys were in March. And actually, like you said, there were like 3 or 4 council members that were on the commission in March that said, yes, Big Rock Park, and they're not here anymore. So as the council changed, we get change in direction. Amy, give your hand.
I think that one of the things I would be interested in is, I mean, I don't have an issue with it being at Big Rock Park, but Big Rock Park, their master plan is still being worked on. So even that area with parking, that may be adjusted. So I think the mounds are staying, some of the stuff is staying, but that whole area is going to be worked on. I would be curious as to what safety features the artists would put into this sculpture, because maybe that would alleviate some of the concerns, of that location. So I certainly wouldn't write off, keeping it in its current location without speaking with the artists first.
May I add to that? These artists are very, very well seasoned in dealing with liability and safety in where their work is placed. When we did the gates for the community garden, we were concerned about the angle of the design of the gates, and we looked through all of the data on safety, the artist, and presented to the council the safety. So the point is, these people have a liability problem. All these artists are very, very well seasoned in dealing with liability, especially when they're dealing with city jurisdictions. And so I don't want to just discount it all the way, that these people, the concerns that are voiced by we are not necessarily, we don't have the experience that the artists have in dealing with cities and safety issues, and liability coverage and all this sort of thing. So I want to give the artists some credit here that they know safety issues, and that doesn't mean that we can't ask them questions and get answers from them. But we talked as a commission, we talked about these very subjects that we're talking about right now for a year. We did. Okay. Okay, Megan.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the things that why Claridel, why Barbara and I felt such frustration was that, I mean, the whole point of, we weren't selecting the exact project. There was going to be plenty of time for community input. And that was what we didn't understand, was like, we're not choosing this exact, like the paper, I don't know, let's say it was the paper dolls, that would get put exactly there. We were simply, and I thought Janie had put this very clearly as the motion, is that we were just trying to present, and then there was going to be this large window of community input. I mean, that was written into the DEI. So why it seemed to change or go off kilter, or off what we thought was a straight path, I think we just go back to that the desire for the strategic plan. But I personally, in my world, I don't have a lot of faith that the strategic plan will drive everything. So, I mean, I could just, I see things happening, like they'll go back to Big Rock in 5 years and they'll say, oh, we're going to make some adjustments to Big Rock. Cause I don't think that the way I look at a city is much the way I look at my home, right? Nothing, once you finish decorating it or once you finish landscaping it, there's things that come up and allow you to look at things through a different lens. You might make changes. I mean, climate change, well, I don't know. Shouldn't talk. I'm going to use it in the context of science and say that things are changing on this planet, and that you may then look at something differently and go, oh, this has to be changed. So why are we looking at the art that needs to, permanent art will never change and never change locations, and why the slides were presented as fact. But I think it speaks more to where the council really wanted to see us move forward with the strategic plan. I think that's what it comes down to. Ashley, I was babbling along.
No, I was just gonna add, like, the strategic plan is also, I don't know, I'm just frustrated because I feel like any movement, as soon as something changes in the council, everything changes for us. And it's frustrating for me. And then I'm going to do the strategic plan, and then the council will come along and do whatever they want.
They'll
anyway.
amend. Mm-hmm.
So, like, great. I didn't care what park it was at. They picked the park. Now it's, yeah, I mean, I know you understand. And maybe I shouldn't be voicing my frustrations in a public meeting, but here I am not having a filter.
You should have seen me at city council, right, Amy? Let's talk about expressing their frustration publicly. But yeah. All right, so I make a motion to stop the conversation about the DEI project? Does anybody else want to? I don't know if that's proper. Can we go back to the agenda? Is there anything else on the agenda? Or should we just close out tonight's meeting and give it's 5 minutes to 8. Does anybody want to make a motion just to end tonight's meeting? And
I will. I make a motion that we adjourn.
okay. So does anybody want to second that?
These crazy
I'll
kids
second
today.
it.
Okay, look there's so many people putting up their hands. We couldn't even get to it. Let's vote. I vote that we end the meeting.
I vote.
Well, did Janie have something she needed to add?
Oh, Jamie.
No,
You're
I was just
slowing us
saying
down.
it can't be an official motion because we don't have a quorum, so you can all just agree to stop and then we'll stop.
Okay. I think, thank you. Apparently I need to get on that.
I don't
Done.
wanna
Bye.
be-
No.
Okay.
And Jamie, I need you to stay on for a second.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so we're adjourning.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording.